Guys, what is up? My name is PandaMaster, and we are back with another Mad Max analysis video thinger-majigger, and it is gonna be awesome. Thank you guys for all the support on the last video. You guys have been doing amazing, and I honestly can't thank you enough for your support. So, I have a few things to talk about. I've been doing a bunch of research about Mad Max lately, not only to just be able to know more about the game for you guys, but also because I am so incredibly hyped for this game. This is honestly one of my most hyped games of 2015, if not just the entire future. I am just so excited for this game. So, I have a few more things to talk about. Not sure how long this video is going to be. I'm just going to wing it, pretty much. So, first thing I want to show is we got 20 new game screens, courtesy of IGN, from Gamescom 2015, their gameplay demo, all that fun stuff, showing off a mission and just some miscellaneous game screens from Mad Max, and I am honestly really excited about this. They look great. Sorry, they are not 1080p. I'm not sure in the editing how I'm going to fit that in, if they will take out the whole screen or not. I don't know. So if they do fill out the whole screen, yeah, not the best quality. If they don't, then yeah, they're not that bad, so they're not going to be like totally blurry. But yeah. So the first screenshot or screen capture we see is a picture or just a little screenshot of Max, and he's standing there. You can see he's got a little flashlight on him, which could mean some cave exploration, you know what I mean? Maybe batteries could be a thing. Okay, I'm reading way too deep into this, but I mean, honestly, what if you could? What if batteries were a thing you had to go look for? I mean, because that is a flashlight that would use a battery, so I mean, is battery something you have to find for that? And will we go into some darker map stuff? And that's really cool, and we'll kind of discuss more of that later. But yeah, I mean, that could be a thing. But Max looks super sleek, super sexy, as always. Next screenshot we see is another pic of Max behind the wheel, looking a little grungy, but I mean, he looks absolutely stunning. I'm super hyped. I mean, this is just going to be awesome, especially just driving around the Magnum Opus like a boss. Which makes me wonder if they will have a sort of tutorial with a, like, a tricked out Interceptor. That's probably about as generic as tutorials would get, like, kind of the formula nowadays. So that makes me think that we're going to have some Interceptor gameplay before it gets stolen. Just that will be how the tutorial goes, that kind of type thing. I feel like that's what's gonna happen. And now we get into the actual like gameplay portion that we see. With this screenshot, we have just kind of sort of free roaming, him approaching one of those vantage points. If you can see in the distance, there is the hot air balloon, and if you have a really good eye, you can kind of see there are anchors coming out of it. There are 4 anchors. They are tethered, and you have to either snipe them off or harpoon them off just to get them off. So to unanchor the balloon, so you can go up and see around the area and look for different missions and activities for you to do. But we see Max, we see Chum Bucket in the back doing his little thing. We got the mini map. You got the heart symbol. You have water, which, like I said in the last video, I believe is your, like, basically your healing. That you don't actually have a thirst meter, but I could be wrong. And then over here on the right, you have your fuel, and fuel is you do need fuel. You need to make sure you keep that up. I'm not sure what the green bar is. It says car. I'm not completely sure. And the same thing with the power. I'm not completely positive on what that is, so I don't know. As for the power, there is a boost or something like that, so maybe that could be it. I'm not sure what I think the green is probably the car condition. I take that back. The green is most likely a car condition. The power is probably your boost. So yeah, I believe that's what they are. And then they have the harpoon there, kind of covered up by the IGN little watermark, but your level of the car, I'm assuming. And yeah, so there's that. So the next screenshot, we have a bloodied up Max. This is presumably where he loses his Interceptor and gets basically dumped off for dead. And yeah, I mean, he's out of shape. He's got dog tags. He's got a little, what looks like sort of like possum skull or some sort of like small rodent skull on like necklace, and he's got one of those you know, homemade bracelet little thingies. You know, he's got one of those. Yeah, he looks in pretty rough shape. Looks like the War Boys definitely handed it to him. Not sure how that happened, but whatever. Next screenshot we have him more just free roaming around. If you can see, they had one of those towers. I'm not completely sure how one of those works, but that's one of those things that you can either harpoon and drag down or just ram into, and that apparently lowers the threat territory. Lowers the threat in the territory. Again, I'm not completely sure how that works, but there is some sort of thing with that, sort of like towers that you knock down. I guess they might be sort of like a signal flare or something like to that extent. Maybe. Well, I think it was actually called a reinforcement tower. I don't know, but if they light it, it brings reinforcements. I don't know. I'm not completely sure how that works. The next one is just a shot of the car, the Magnum Opus. Now, I would say how cool this looks, but a big thing in the game is vehicle customization, so every car is pretty much going to look different. I mean, you got all different things to change, and yeah, especially if you get the Ripper mod, when you pre-order, that thing looks sick. I'm super hyped. The next screenshot, we have some sort of explosion. Now, I have seen this gameplay demo from IGN. I've seen that. I do not believe this is from that. But something is exploding. Max is kind of close. Yeah, I don't know much to look into there. He does have, you see a shotgun there, his shiv, all that jazz, all that fun stuff. Next screenshot we have is the Magnum Opus driving on the sand. As I discussed earlier, the environment does move. Like, the sand does shift with the weather. There's day-night cycle, the weather system, sandstorms, all that jazz. It's going to be super, super awesome. And you do have a lot of stuff with tire tread and, like, getting stuck. And, yeah, that is a thing in this game. Like, that stuff happens. Next screenshot we have what's Mad Max apparently winning a fight against the vehicle getting absolutely destroyed, and that is a big thing. Vehicle combat is a very, very big thing, if not the #1 thing gameplay-wise in this game that you have to be the best at, and is a big, major component of this game, and it's going to be super fun, super sweet, super excited. Next screenshot we have is showing off the other side of combat. Mad Max kind of beating up a war boy, and it's glorious. Showing off some of that hand-to-hand combat without really showing anything, because it's more of just a picture, but it's still cool. And it seems like in this phase he is in the lower side of things. He doesn't have that much armor. Pretty basic. So this is probably earlier in the game, but he is still a skilled combatant. Next one, we have some more war boys coming in. This is presumably not long after the start of the game, I would assume. Probably one of the first couple missions after he gets his Magnum Opus all set up. I'm assuming sometime around there, but that's what it looks like to me. Next screenshot, we got another shot of the Magnum Opus. And then we get into a little bit more of the gameplay, where you see the catapults thing. This is during the mission that was shown. If you guys have not seen this, you guys should go look it up. There is gameplay that IGN did. It is a special mission, never before seen, that the developer... well, no, I don't think it's actually live played. I think it's just shown. But, IGN is, commentating over it, asking questions about that and showing off. This is where they show off with all kinds of mechanics. But yeah, in this mission in particular, the vehicular like thing right there is a catapult, and a big thing about that is using your car and a harpoon to rip open and expose, stash barrels in the back of the catapult, and then you could deliver the final blow with a shotgun, or you can do other stuff. There are many different ways to take down the catapults, and that also shows off more of the free, like, you don't have to go by the books, you can do whatever way you want, showing different play styles, that type of thing. That is all being shown here, and there are people guarding it, and I'm assuming if you stay too long, they would jump on your car, and then you'd have to deal with that, and that'd just be annoying. So yeah, different playstyles, awesome. And there's also, I think, a thunder stick or something. Well, no, I think it's just a melee weapon that the war boys use. Anyway, next screenshot, there's another catapult in the distance. It's first person in the Magnum Opus because you can do that. The Magnum Opus does support first person, though with vehicular combat, probably be a little trickier, but it's still cool to have it. And you see in the, like, right under the catapult little hint thing, there is car health. So yes, you do know what the other health of the cars are, and just good stuff like that. Next screenshot is a little bit thing of a cutscene when they are first approaching the stronghold, which is where the mission is set. And Chumbucket is kind of advising him on how he should approach the situation. He's kind of observing the stronghold from a distance, planning his tactic. And the next screenshot is just more of that, him using his binoculars, scouting out the place, looking for maybe a weak spot or a easier way to get in, easier way to get things done. And then we have a shot of them just driving their way into the stronghold, kind of going a little bit guns-ho on this one, at least what the gameplay did. They went guns-ho, kind of just ran in there and got stuff done, but there is stealthier ways to do it. There are Trojan horses, there are all kinds of cool stuff, and yeah, it's really awesome. Next screenshot has some aftermath of vehicle combat. If you see in there, up a little bit over the explosion, there's a grab symbol thing. Vehicles do leave stuff like scrap and other miscellaneous things like I don't know what kind of stuff they do, but they do leave stuff behind, so you definitely should check that out because the loot is good. Pretty much everything you can find here in Mad Max is good. I don't know if there's really anything worth not taking. I think most of the loot to find is useful in this environment because pretty much anything you can find is useful because there's not much left, so you take what you can get. Next screenshot, and I believe final screen. No, never mind. I think there's two more. Yeah. So next screenshot is a little bit of an overview of at least that section of the Wasteland. This is in the hot air balloon, and it's sort of like the same point to Assassin's Creed, that kind of stuff. But seeing just how vast this world is, and this is just a little teeny tiny part of the Wasteland. They have said, Avalanche Studios have said that wherever you can see, you can go. So all those mountains back there, you can go to those. Like, you can drive over there. They said it will get dangerous along the way. It'll get a lot more dangerous than being in like a more main area, but you can go there, and that's really awesome. I really love that aspect of the game. And then back down, you do have more. It shows kind of like the controls about the hot air balloon and what's around. That is the hot air balloon that we saw in earlier game screens, and we also see some war boys converging on the location. So when he exits, he will have some company to deal with. So yes, that is all the screenshots / games things that we have of it that IGN has released. And so we did have a little mix of game screens from their experience watching it at Gamescom, and a little bit of just regular screenshots released by Mad Max, like Avalanche Studios. So yes, that has been released earlier, and now I wanted to kind of get into a couple of topics that have been brought to my attention while researching and just looking at what other people have to say about Mad Max. So one thing that one person noticed is the lack of marketing for this game. Now, I guess you could, yes, Mad Max is pretty much, it is a AAA title, but overall, the series of Mad Max is not all that well known. Fury Road did definitely grow a lot bigger fan base, but still, a lot of people are more like, oh, well, I'll wait till it comes out to watch it or something like that. It still didn't have that big fan base like other major franchises did. And the same thing with this game. It didn't have that big hype, that big fan support that any other like big franchise has. So that can affect marketing in some ways. Games like that, they usually don't market for as much because they know that they may just be wasting their money, that this will only be probably just a modest success. I doubt they're expecting a huge income in this game. Now that doesn't mean they didn't put as much work into it. I just think that means that they didn't think they needed to put as much marketing into this game because it only does reach that selected audience, and this isn't really the game for broader audiences. But what I would like to say is, I would like to beg to differ from that. I really think that if they would have marketed this game better, if they would have gotten more like demos and gameplay and basically just showed it off more, it would have gotten more hype, it would have gotten a bigger fan base, and so much more people would be excited about it. And I really think that is the case for Mad Max. I think that they could have a lot more fan support if they really did dump money and just like do as much as they can for marketing, because I think it would be worth it in the end. And I'm not just talking about trailers and like commercials and all that. I'm talking about just more of a presence at Gamescom and E3 and just things like that. Honestly, Just Cause 3 has gotten a lot more. We've been shown a lot more, and it comes out months after Mad Max. And Metal Gear Solid 5, we've seen hours of gameplay, and we've seen I think we've seen 2 official missions with Mad Max and just some other miscellaneous like gameplay trailers and just miscellaneous trailers. And honestly, we hadn't even heard very much at all until about a few months ago, honestly. Maybe close to a year ago at the most. But, I mean, it just seems like that they've let marketing and just overall, like, knowledge of the game slip. Like, I was talking to people today about, I don't remember exactly what the conversation about. Oh, someone compared a game to feel like a Mad Max movie. And I said, well, there's a Mad Max game coming out. And he's like, there is? And I'm like, yeah, it just came out on pre-order on Steam. I'm super excited for it. But he didn't even know. Like, he's a guy who, he plays video games. Like, he's not like an expert. Like, he doesn't pay attention to everything. But, he kind of knows about video games. But I was honestly shocked that he didn't know about Mad Max. And that did make me think about how many people don't know about this game because of the poor marketing and just bad approach that Avalanche has been doing with this game. I feel like if they did put more work into getting it out there, I feel like they're kind of putting themselves down about this game. I feel like they think that it won't really do all that well. But honestly, if Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor has taught us anything, it's that the underdog can definitely rise up and be on top. Because Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor, while being a beloved franchise, wasn't really that expected to do so well as it did. But it did. It surpassed all expectations. It became a bunch of Game of the Years. It became my Game of the Year for last year. And I mean, I believe that Mad Max could do something like that if they just believed it could. It seems like this is just a big thing of a lack of self-respect, I guess, or self-esteem for the game. I mean, I feel like Avalanche doesn't really give Mad Max the credit it deserves. That a lot of people would be excited for it if they knew about it, and that they definitely should invest more in marketing in the game. But I mean, it is a little late about that. I mean, we do only have a couple weeks left, but maybe we'll see some surprise thing coming up. Maybe some packs. We'll see some cool stuff. I don't know. But that doesn't hinder my excitement for the game, because I am super excited for Mad Max. And the final thing I want to talk about today is something I may have overlooked when originally hearing about the plot of Mad Max. So, when I first heard about the plot, that the main thing would be just, like, creating the ultimate car, I honestly wasn't that impressed. Like, I knew that the movie didn't have that much of a plot, and that wasn't a bad thing. And that's kind of what I took the game to be, that it wasn't as much focused on story. But honestly, if you really look at the trailers, and I got to thinking about this while I was looking through trailers and just like looking through people talking about the story for Mad Max, I did start to think that maybe this plot is a lot more complex than we originally thought. I mean, if you think about this, in the trailer, we do see Max kind of getting a little bit romantic with a woman. And we do see a lot of characters coming out. So what I believe to happen is that, yes, it will start out with Max kind of just like wanting to fix his car, but I feel like Avalanche will definitely bring in more of a bigger plot, an overall plot, as Max gets kind of roped into all of this like bigger plot with Scrotus and all these different strongholds and factions and all that, and things will get a lot deeper than they originally seemed. I feel like Avalanche, I don't know if they're trying to keep this a secret, if they're trying to make people think, oh, well, it's going to be focused more on gameplay, and then come out with this big, huge story. maybe that's what they're going for. Maybe they're kind of dropping hints in trailers and stuff, but not showing us because they want us to be surprised about how much of a plot there really is. I mean, I know they have focused a lot on gameplay and just delivering a stellar survival experience, but what if that's not it? What if we do actually have a very complex and like story-driven game that could be spectacular? I mean, there could be very good plot. We do see a lot of characters in trailers that seem to be major, and it just feels like we might have a hidden story that is really very, very huge. And I mean, it is too soon to tell. We don't have that much to go on. It is basically just a theory, but I think it could be true. I believe this theory can hold its own, that it will become a reality. I think Avalanche does have some things hidden in its sleeves about Mad Max, but it also could be down to the fact of my previous point that they don't believe this thing will be a very big success. But like I said before, with Middle-earth, if it really is very good, then it will get the success that it deserves. So I really think there will be a huge story, but I want to know what you guys think. What do you guys think about all the things I've discussed here today? Just comment down below. I'll comment back if I really like. I pretty much comment back on almost every comment I get. So, I mean, if your comment is relevant, if you have something to say, I will definitely read it. I will consider, I will look at your views and opinions. So, if you do have something to say about what I've discussed, please just comment down below. Like if you like this video, subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you guys next time for some more of the highly anticipated Mad Max little analysis coverage, all that videos. Bye-bye.